Hi everyone, welcome back. Bex here today to do an unhaul for you. I haven't done one of these in a long time, but I am moving. I am moving to a new place, and so as part of the general cleaning out process, I did go through my books. It took me 2 hours to whittle my way down to what really isn't that many books. I'm getting rid of 14 books. But as someone who really wants to have a wall of bookshelves with a bunch of books, it's hard for me to get rid of them unless I really didn't like them. So a lot of these books are just ones where I was kind of about them, and I don't really ever see myself picking them up again. Me saying I'm going to read a book again is not necessarily a requirement for a book staying on my shelves. Sometimes I just know that I had a really good time reading it that one time, and looking at it makes me happy, so it gets to stay. But in this case, I did force myself to get rid of some books because it does also clear out some space for future books to go on those shelves. Of the 14 books, I have read 13 of them, so I did go through my TBR bookshelf, but over the past couple of years, I've done a pretty good job of combing through and getting rid of the books that I just really don't see myself trying to read anymore. I did try a chapter vlogs for all of them, so I'll link one of them here if you want to go check it out. But so yeah, I've kind of been cleaning that out more recently. So in this case, it ended up being mostly books that I've read and just know that, you know what, it's time for them to find another home. So the first books that I'm getting rid of are together. They're like a set. Here we've got My Life Next Door and The Boy Most Likely To by Huntley Fitzpatrick. These are YA contemporary romance books. I don't remember much about my reading experience with these other than that I remember kind of enjoying this one, and then I gave this one a shot and I didn't like it as much. And being who I am these days, I don't ever see myself wanting to reread these again, so definitely gonna donate these. This next one is Love Him Not by Tara K. Reid. This is a dating adventure with 60 mostly unhappy endings. This is a choose your own adventure book, which I can't read all the way through like a traditional novel, but I have read and done various scenarios in this book a number of times, and I feel like I've got what I could out of this book, and so hopefully somebody else will enjoy it. I then have two mystery thriller books that I just don't see myself ever reading again. The first is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney, and the second one is The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I think I picked up both of these at library book sales at some point in the past, and I did a book to movie comparison of this probably back in 2018. It was a long time ago, but I did read this and watch the film. And then this one I read a little more recently. If there's someone out there who hasn't read this book yet, then great, they can have that. But that book is everywhere. It's like the Da Vinci Code in library book sales and thrift bookstores. You always see The Girl on the Train. I've also decided to get rid of On Immunity and Inoculation by Eula Biss. I read this book probably 2015, 2016 maybe, and I just remember I didn't like it as much as I wanted to, so I don't really ever see myself picking this up again. And this is a really nice hardback, and I think I'm actually going to try to go to a local bookstore near me and see if they'll buy some of the nicer books that I have off of me just to recoup some costs. More on that later. But yeah, so this one, yeah. I'm also going to get rid of The Mockingbird Next Door, Life with Harper Lee by Maria Mills. I accepted this book for review from the publisher back in 2014 when it originally came out, and I didn't realize until later that there was actually a lot of controversy around this book because Harper Lee had said that she didn't condone the publication of this. Maria Mills had sort of weaseled is a really negative word, but she had sort of found her way into Harper Lee's life and then wrote this book because Harper Lee was notoriously private. And yeah, that apparently didn't go over very well, and that was not exactly what happened. So even when I was reading this book, I was taking everything with a grain of salt, and it just makes me a little sad when I see it, even though it is a nice copy. It's got a little bunny chew in the corner here from a foster bunny. But it's a nice book in terms of the look of it, but it's just, I just feel a little weird every time I look at it. This is the one book that I haven't read yet that I'm getting rid of, and it is Lethal White by Robert Galbraith. I have gone back and forth with myself many times about whether or not I should get rid of this because I bought it full price. I mean, it's not hardback, but I bought the paperback because I was excited about reading this book. I'd read the other books in the Cormoran Strike series, and then this was shortly after I got this, maybe, I don't know, 6 months later, J.K. Rowling really came out with her anti-transness, and I just felt really uncomfortable reading this and putting it on Goodreads and sort of promoting it in any way. And so I am gonna unhaul it. If I'm going to read anything by her at this point, it's just going to be the original Harry Potter books because that's what I grew up with and I have a much deeper connection with that. I don't really want to dive into a brand new book by her. It just feels icky to me. I then have two nonfiction books that revolve a lot around snow and cold weather. It just happens to be how it worked out. We've got The Children's Blizzard by David Laskin and also Ada Blackjack, A True Story of Survival in the Arctic by Jennifer Niven. These were both nonfiction books that I picked up and I just didn't enjoy them as much as I wanted to. This one was interesting at some points, but because it's talking about a blizzard, there is a bunch of the book that is spent sort of talking about weather and describing weather stuff, and that's not why I was there. I was there for the personal stories about the people who survived this blizzard or died in this blizzard. And then with this one, I think maybe it had dragged on a bit too much. I read this long enough ago that I don't really remember exactly why I felt the way I did. I was looking at my Goodreads reviews for a lot of these books that I was unhauling, and there was a long point of time on Goodreads where I just didn't write any text. I would just rate a book, and so I didn't have anything written for this one, so I can't exactly pinpoint why anymore that I didn't totally enjoy it, but either way, I don't ever see myself picking either of these up again, so away they go. This one, The Lost Continent by Bill Bryson, travels in small town America. I remember reading this book and just being quite off-put by a lot of the stuff that he says in it, in terms of how he describes people and stuff. I have read a number of Bill Bryson books. All of the other ones that I own are in my childhood bedroom at my parents' house. I have a number of books still there because there was many years where even when I was going to school in Canada and kind of before I made Canada my permanent home, I would bring books home and then, you know, bring new ones along. And so I still have a number of books at my parents' place. I should really do an unhaul there as well and try to really combine stuff as much as possible. But anyway, so I have other Bill Bryson books that I've liked more, but this one, just the negativity was so heavy in this, and I feel like he does that a lot in his books, where he is just so negative and sometimes almost cruel the way he talks about people. And maybe it didn't bother me when I originally started reading Bill Bryson, but it definitely bothers me a lot more now. And so this one had that in it, and so therefore I am fine letting it go. This one, Les and I read together, Zadie Smith's On Beauty. We actually have an entire review that we did about this. It's a long one because we talk about a lot of stuff, but I gave this a 2.5 out of 5. And there were a lot of things in this that I was just kind of about. I have another Zadie Smith book on this list, actually. I have Intimations by Zadie Smith. I had to buy this book for a BookTube Prize season of reading because it wasn't available anywhere. And although I absolutely love the look of this book with the cover and the yellow spine, this also is just the best essay was, I think the last one was what I said in my review, but a lot of it I was just kind of meh about. So yeah, both of these, just, it's me and Zadie Smith, we just haven't really clicked yet, but I actually have to read another Zadie Smith book. I'm currently reading for the BookTube Prize Fiction Octafinals for 2024, and Zadie Smith's newest book is on that list. So I'll get to give her another try and see if I can get along well with her newest book. But yeah, neither of these do I have an inkling to pick up again. I then have this little humor book called Career Girls, Cautionary Tales for the Working Woman by Miss T. McGill. I got this sent to me along with another book, kind of, these are just humor, sarcasm books about women in the workforce, and this one is just styled in sort of a retro, with like the drawings, sort of 1950s and 60s aesthetic with just these sort of sarcastic little stories. I kept the other book because that one is more focused on like the corporate work world, and so I think I connect with that one a little bit more. This one, I don't really feel a strong need to hang on to it, although it was a very fun book to receive and read through. So yeah, fun, but not something I need to keep. And the last book that I would like to unhaul is Just Us, An American Conversation by Claudia Rankine. This is what I was referencing when I said earlier about recouping some of my costs, because I had to pay $40 for this book, also for a BookTube prize round. And I really didn't want to spend that much money on it. I mean, it is a nice book in the sense that it is hardback and the pages are very thick, like printer photo paper, because there are photos in this. And I did end up liking this more than I thought. I was very hesitant at first about reading this book because I was so annoyed that I had to spend so much money on it, but at least it ended up being pretty good. But yeah, if I can get a little bit of my money back for this, it'll be worth it. Okay, that is my unhaul. It feels like a lot of books when I'm holding it in my hands, specifically for this thumbnail, but overall, the grand scheme of things, it's really not that many books. But like I said, I really want just a wall of bookshelves and lots of books, and so I don't really want to unhaul stuff. So it was a real test. It was a real test of my abilities. I spent a lot of time kind of just staring at stuff before I really started to dive in and think, okay, what can I get rid of? I think there was only like 1 or 2 books that I immediately knew off the top of my head that I was going to unhaul, but yeah, the rest of these were something that I pondered over for quite some time, and I'm sure many of you can relate to that. If you have any thoughts on any of the books that I'm unhauling, feel free to leave those in the comment section down below, or links, or in the down bar as always. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you later.